All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the campus of Hall of Fame Village for another installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series. Today, featuring the guest sitting right beside me, a great friend of ours at the Hall, Mr. Clint Fetty. And we'll get to him here in a second. But for anybody who has never seen this program before, what are you going to see today? Where you're going to learn a little bit about what it takes to have a career in and around the NFL, specifically right here in Canton, Ohio, in and around the great game of football, and all the tips and tricks that Clint, who's had an awesome journey to us right here in Northeast Ohio, all the things he's done and will continue to do here in Canton. If you've seen us before, as you know, you guys are in store for another excellent program learning about some awesome careers. As always, my name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager at the Pro Football Hall of Fame right here in Canton, Ohio. And it may not look like we're in anywhere special, but we're in the Constellation Center for Excellence as part of the Hall of Fame Village campus today. We left the building kind of a little out of our element. Went to an awesome building. We're sitting here in an awesome room, got some awesome people in here with us watching and viewing the program as well. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and being a part of the program. A little bit about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's our mission to honor the greats of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made all of our Hall of Famers, all 371 of them, great football players, great football minds. But it can make you a great student. It can make us great employees of the organizations we work for. And these values are ever prevalent in society today, and specifically in the workforce. So you'll be surprised how many times you hear these values pop up today and how they impact everything we do here in Canton, Ohio. So before we get started, some thank yous I'd like to pass out. So first and foremost, to educators, professors, anybody that's shared this program out with their students today or watching us live on YouTube, thank you so much for allowing us to be a small part of your students' learning experience. Secondly, students, want to thank you guys. Without you, this program doesn't take place. We always joke. Nathan and I have a lot of questions we're ready to ask. Heard Clint was doing some preparation here this week. We know he's got the questions ready to go. But nobody wants to hear me ask questions the entire day. This program is here for you students to learn all about the industry, your chance to network, ask questions that you want answered. So please take advantage of that. So on the live stream, Nathan's back at the Hall of Fame watching that. Please leave your name, the school you go to, and then leave your question there in the live chat, and we will do our best to make it part of the program. If you don't have a question, that's okay. Just let us know where you're watching from, see how many awesome schools we can have connected in today. So today, as I said before, we are lucky and grateful to be joined by Clint Fetty, who is currently based right here in Canton, Ohio, and leads the development and management of Hall of Fame Village Sports at Forever Lawn Sports Complex and the new Center for Performance. Before joining us here in Canton at the Hall of Fame Village, he was a general manager of Legacy Global Sports, overseeing sports programming and athletic facility development. Clint was also a high school athletic director for 10 years down in Central Ohio, overseeing multiple athletic programs, the build of new facilities, and so much more. And prior to being athletic director, gained tremendous leadership and sales and marketing experience working for both the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Columbus Crew. So as we said, an awesome background, so many different aspects of sports. So we are pleased to welcome Clint Fetty to Before the Snap.
Thanks, Jake. Happy to be here. I think Jake gave a pretty good bio for me, as he said, and I'll just get more background. From Columbus, Ohio originally. Grew up there, went to Reynoldsburg High School on the east side of Columbus. Went to college at Wilmington College down in Southwest Ohio. So if Wilmington's on, good to see the Quakers out there. And then started my career in pro sports with the Columbus Blue Jackets in sales. Then went to the Columbus Crew in sales and marketing also, and really started running youth sports programs there with the Columbus Crew. Did the same with the Jackets. I ran a lot of our youth hockey games at the arena. Started with that, and then became an athletic director in Columbus, and really got to learn about athletic programs and facilities and students, and kind of see that from the top to the bottom with coaches and the whole gamut there. And then I've been fortunate to be here in Canton since 2016. It seems like it's not been that long, but I've been here for a while now at Hall of Fame Village, overseeing a lot of our sports programs and getting involved with our Forever Lawn Sports Complex, our Center for Performance, which is our indoor bubble building for sports. But we just had a job fair there yesterday, so we did a lot more than just sports programming there. And then also with Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium and a lot of the games and events that happen at the stadium, concert shows. We just announced Kevin Hart this week, which is really exciting. So good to be here with you guys today and look forward to it.
Awesome. So as always, we do this program with so many different individuals. The day-to-day looks different depending on the season that we're in. But can you give just a rough overview, 10,000 foot view of what the normal day-to-day life looks like for you when you come here to work?
It's different every single day. So we, with Hall of Fame Village, we're building a destination, right? So we've got more than sports programming. So we're involved in a lot of things operationally as well. It can be parking, traffic flow, tenants. We have a Starbucks here, a Build-A-Bear. We open a Shula's restaurant soon. So we work with those tenants and their managers, kind of what it looks like for them to be a part of the village. And then day to day, we're out trying to book events and programs and bring sporting events to Canton. One of the big things for us is sports tourism. So we're out looking for tournaments that come to Canton and bring teams and travel here and stay in our hotels and eat in the restaurants and go to the gas stations and all that good stuff. And then there's days like today, we'll be talking about the USFL coming to Canton, which is in a week from now. So we're hosting the USFL with 2 teams, Pittsburgh and New Jersey. So we're working through what that looks like day to day, trying to figure out what their training camp looks like for a month, into hosting 10 regular season games, and then into their championship. So a lot of different moving parts. And I feel like we jump into almost anything imaginable day to day. Everything's different. And I think you guys that are especially in the sports management, sports administration, that's what you're going to see no matter what area you go into in sports. I know even Jake at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, things change day to day and you're constantly adjusting to something new. And I think the thing for a lot of people to think about for the future is our day to day is now, but it's also talking about a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and how we're going to grow. So we're constantly thinking of how we can keep evolving here.
You've been fortunate enough to kind of see it from the birth of Hall of Fame Village to where we are today. So can you just give us an overview of some of the things you've seen change over time and how this huge development, this growth has taken place from one turf field to now you have an indoor bubble and so many different buildings in and around campus?
Yeah, I mean, Jake's right. So Hall of Fame Village has evolved. 2016, when I got here, they were just starting Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, which is a beautiful 20,000 seat NFL caliber stadium. We had just built 2 turf fields that were out sort of in the middle of nowhere at the time. Now we've evolved into 130 plus acre campus, all new roads. There was about 140 houses here on campus that are no longer here. We actually worked out of those houses. I think I'm in office number 6 or 7 right now myself. So we've evolved into sort of just an idea and a roadmap into now this thriving campus where we built new roads, and you've got the stadium built. You have a 7-field Foreverlawn Sports Complex with great turf fields there. The bubble was not here. We just built it in 2022. And then now you look on campus, there's a Ferris wheel, a zip line, and then our retail has really boomed in the last year or so. Where our retail was houses. So now you've got a Starbucks, office building, Shula's restaurant, Build-A-Bear, all those things. So I've seen it go from, really a neighborhood into this thriving destination that we're building at Hall of Fame Village.
Can you talk to us a bit about, and just as a reminder for all of our students who are tuned in, make sure you get your questions in if you're just joining us. And now go ahead and put your questions in there into the YouTube chat. Let us know your name, the school you're from, and then go ahead and ask your question. We want to hear what you guys have. We want to hear the questions that you have here today. But you talk about, seeing all these projects grow. So we're just going to jump into one we're looking at right now. Foreverlawn is now going to be the official turf here in Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. I walked out the door here today, looked out, and there's no turf on the field. So when you look at something like that, obviously it involves so many people, but looking at your job specifically when something like that happens, how are you involved in that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mentioned like part of my background at schools was we built several stadiums, put in fields. We've built 7 turf fields here on campus. Actually 9 now, I guess we've built here. So Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium this year is getting all new turf surface. Obviously we host, the NFL game this year, the Browns versus the Jets.
Buy your tickets
in early August. Hop online, get your tickets, Jake says. And then we host again USFL games. We are looking into the options and how we can really expand what we do as a stadium, right, as a venue. So we want to be able to host other sports. Is it soccer, lacrosse, rugby? What else can we do? And in doing that, we realized that we would maybe need to update our surface. So we're in the middle of a install process. So we started this process back in October with our partners Foreverlawn. So for those of you that don't know, when you do a field, right, we have an NFL game here. If we want to do soccer here, if we want to do USFL, there are approvals and processes that have to take place. You have to have the right turf product. What we'll have here is probably different than what most high schools or even a lot of colleges will have down. It's a little bit more of a premier product with Forever Lawn Sports Grass. So we started a testing process in October. Forever Lawn was great. They went out with multiple products that we tested based on various sports. And one of the big keys for us is this field here now will be a green field, right? So there won't be lines stitched into it like you see at most high schools or colleges. We'll be going with a green field to allow us to adjust day to day to a different sport, a different activity. For soccer, they want to play in green field. So we went through that process of what it looks like. So yeah, my part in that has been sort of working with Forever Lawn, our partner, working with the NFL, the USFL, with the FIFA testing, making sure we're on track for that. And then now we broke ground on it last week. And as Jake said, we're in the situation where we're about a 3 to 4 week build out to get the field removed, put a pad down, put a new field down, and then hopefully open up the first or second week of April with the new field and start practicing on it.
So when people think Canton, Ohio, think of Pro Football Hall of Fame. So obviously you see all these big buildings being built all around the game of football,
Right.
but you've mentioned so far, like, there's more than just football that takes place here. So talk a little bit about some of the different events that have come through using the sports complex, the stadium, and just the wide variety of everything that Hall of Fame Village can host.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think, people think about football here. I think that's, for my background, that's what I'm excited about, is multiple sports, multiple athletes, boys, girls, adults, senior citizens, whatever it is. So we have this weekend a 3-day Great Lakes Alliance soccer tournament. Starts tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with 120 teams, somewhere around there, coming to Canton, traveling. But yeah, we're doing lacrosse events, flag football events, tackle football events, rugby events. We have now indoor space. We have basketball, volleyball, pickleball. We're talking kickball and cornhole. So there's all these different variety of things that we can do here at any of our facilities. And then when we talk about the stadium, obviously it does football well. We say it does sports tremendous, right? So soccer, football, lacrosse, it does all that. But then we can flip it over into a world-class concert venue. Kevin Hart here, Dave Chappelle was here last year, Zach Brown Band is here this August. Last year we had Journey in concert. So we can really do a whole lot of things, even just outside of sports. But for me personally, the sports side is really what I'm passionate about. And it's great to see kids from 2 years old up to 18, and then adults in their 50s, 60s, 70s coming out, having a good time. Jake mentioned the values of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and similar with us here at Hall of Fame Village. We want to inspire the future and honor the past, right? So part of that for sports is giving students and athletes a great venue to come compete in, but also learn outside of the sports realm, learn those characters of teamwork and courage and respect and excellence and honor, and how we can do that through sports is really vital to us.
And and saying all that, learning about what you do, what do you think is one of the most important skills to have specifically for your day-to-day operations and time management, organization, or is there something else that you can think of that stands out to you as kind of that most important skill to have?
I think there's a lot. I think in any sports job, there's a whole lot of different skills. I think, time management's one I'd like to say I'm good at, but I'm probably not, because we have so many different moving parts. It's always just trying to figure out how to do it. I think it's really, like in a lot of jobs, for me, it's patience at times. It's patience and knowing that everything's going to come together. We talk about it in sports and events that, it's like a wedding planner, right? Like it's going to be chaos until it starts. And that's how sporting events are in any realm. That's how our tournaments are. That's how our events are, right? Like it seems like this just organized chaos that we have going on. Everything's happening for a reason and it's all happening great. But it seems very chaotic when you're in the moment. It can be if you let it get to you. So I think it's being patient. It's kind of working through that time management. It's being empathetic to people you're working with and your staff and your team and outside people you have coming in. We here entertain a lot of outside groups, and they don't know our campus, they don't know our stadium. So we always constantly have to kind of work with them and understand, hey, they might not know where that locker room is because they've never been here. So for us, it's that patience of knowing, like, we got to work with them. Once we get them going, they'll be ready. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I think in any sports or entertainment position that it's time management. It's, like I said, being patient with what you're doing and really just working hard, right? Just going out there and putting everything into it and understanding that when you put the effort in, it's going to pay off in the end.
All right. Well, it looks like we got some questions from our YouTube audience. So we're going to go back right down the hill here to the Pro Football Hall of Fame through our studio where Nathan Martin's at with some questions from our YouTube live audience. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Thank you, Jake, for sending it back here. And Clint, thanks for being a part of the program with us today. Really excited. I want to continue to encourage the students, ask your questions. Go ahead and submit those through the chat function on YouTube, and we'll get you guys involved with the program. But we have a couple right now, Clint. And question number one comes from a student named Daniel who attends Western Washington University. Unique question. I didn't anticipate this being one of the ones we would get today, so hopefully you can handle this. He says, will the Hall of Fame Village ever grow beyond Canton? What are ways that you guys are impacting or maybe even looking to grow outside of just what happens here in Canton?
Yeah, Daniel, that's a really good question, actually, and it's spot on kind of with what we want to do, right? We're a destination in Canton, Ohio, but we've, even on the sports side, we've run regionals across the country. We've been out in Seattle and run a football regional there. We've run a tournament that's nationwide with 10 to 12 regionals. The championship fed back here into Canton, but we were across the country: Florida, Washington, California, Pennsylvania, Texas. So we've definitely expanded outside of here in some areas, and then we'll continue to do that. But if you look at our business, right, we're talking with me a lot of the destination stuff, but we also have a media vertical that's out there. If you watched Fox the night before the Super Bowl at 8 o'clock, we had the Perfect 10, which was a Hall of Fame Village media production. It was about the 10 Heisman winners that are also Hall of Famers. They're the only 10 ever. And the saying behind that is there's more men that have walked on the moon than have been Heisman winners and Hall of Famers. So the media division is definitely out. They're out beyond Canton and what they're doing with a lot of our various media projects that you'll see coming. We have an esports and gaming division, it's here in Canton with some things we're doing, but we're also out. We're partners with a mobile app called Better, which is part of Jake Paul's company. Those you know him as an influencer and a boxer right now as well. So we're doing a lot of other things sort of beyond Canton with the Hall of Fame Village name, or maybe another name that feeds into the Hall of Fame Village. But yeah, we definitely are doing some things sort of outside of Canton that might not be as recognizable just yet.
Awesome. I'm glad Daniel asked that question because I think you did a great job kind of giving everyone a sense of really how much Hall of Fame Village is really up to and what they're doing. Our next question is from a student named Jacob, a student at LSU. And he just this is a good question, tips and tricks that maybe you've seen from your personal experience or with those that you've hired about finding good internships and finding good jobs. What are some of the things that you've seen as far as advice you would offer?
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, it's probably the networking piece is really important. I always tell people I'm old. So when I was in college, we had just gotten our first emails and the internet was just becoming a thing. So it was a little bit more difficult to do outreach. A lot of it for us was placing phone calls and, going knocking on doors. But I think you can do that same thing through networking on LinkedIn, through just reaching out to teams and programs. And I always tell people too, especially in the sports world, like, don't be afraid if you have somewhere in your area, if it's a minor league team, if it's a major league team, reach out to staff and just try to create a network. Obviously, there's a ton of events out there now. I know obviously Teamwork Online does a lot of networking events through their website, but it's just getting out there, networking, meeting people. And then the other thing too, I mentioned earlier, is being willing to work hard. Like when I became an athletic director, I had a full-time job, but I went to a high school athletic director and said, hey, I'm interested in learning about this job. I think I have kind of the things that I need to do it, but I just need to learn it and put some time in. So I went and just volunteered and said, hey, I've got a full-time job, but can I come work high school football games, basketball games? So I think don't be afraid to go out there and put your name out there and say, hey, can I come and volunteer? Can I help? And then there's a lot of programs now with colleges, especially down there in your area in Louisiana. If you're at LSU, talk to some of those teams. You've got a lot of great teams in your area and see what they need. If they need volunteer help for a big event coming, if they need help for their team coming through, but just be willing to put your name out there, go out there and work hard and then just outreach to people.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like how you made it personal for him, referencing where he's at down there in Louisiana. This next question we got is from Lucy, a student at Elizabethtown College. Lucy says she's interested in applying for an internship, a position at the NFL level. So any advice you would give her, maybe again, more so on gaining the experience, but maybe specific interview advice that you would give her if, you know, her resume gets to the top of the stack and she gets the opportunity to interview for one of those internships?
Yeah, I think just be authentic, Lucy. I think the key is, you know, if you're in college, you maybe don't have that background experience, but they realize that when you go in. So just kind of talking about what you can do positively, you know, what you've learned in school. Maybe if you've done, you know, a job there at home or community service, whatever it is, really just think of things that can make you stand out. If you're somebody that's really great on social media, or if you know you've done some cool projects at school, kind of bring those to the top, let them know what you can do. And then, like I said, I think just being authentic and talking about, you know, what you bring to the table. I'd also say do your research, right? Like the NFL, all these organizations are big organizations. They've all got websites. They've all got information. So maybe, you know, looking at, depending on what internship you're looking at, try to dig into that division. If it's marketing, if it's operations, see some of the programs they've run recently, see some things they've gotten involved in, and talk about that and say how you can maybe help with that, or, you know, show them that you're really willing to put the time in. You've learned about them, you know, about their organization. You know, I think a frustrating thing at times for different groups is when you get into an interview and you realize the person that is in for the interview has no idea really what your company does. So I think those sort of things are important. If you do the background, do the research, come in ready, it should go positively for you.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think the research piece is something that can really help you stand out in the interviews that I've sat in and helped college students myself. So definitely, Lucy, I think what Clint's saying is 100% true. So students, thank you for asking the questions that you have. I want to continue to encourage you guys, keep submitting questions, because the more questions that you submit, the less we have to see Jake. I'm kidding. It's okay if we get to see Jake, but we want to hear your questions. I know Clint wants to hear your questions. So for now, though, I'm going to send it back to Jake for some more questions with Clint.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. And yes, students, get your questions in. Nobody wants to see me. It's okay. We want to hear all the great questions. We've had some awesome ones so far, but we want to hear some more here before we wrap up. We've talked a little bit about your past experiences being athletic director and, being working in marketing and sales. When you're in college, especially when I was in college, it was stress.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to work in sports, you got to go into sales.
Mm-hmm.
Me, hated it. Didn't want to do it at all. But how important was it for you to get your career in sports started,
Mm-hmm.
kind of along that same path that is stressed so much throughout college?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, like, when I, again, a little older, so when I started, teams were just starting their phone rooms. They were just starting this like crazy sales process that we know today is huge in every team and environment. But for me, it was a couple of different things. I interned 2 years with the Columbus Clippers on AAA baseball in Central Ohio. We were the Yankees farm team at the time. It was a great experience, and there I got to learn sort of every department: PR, marketing, sales. Got to work with the GM quite a bit, which was great, and really saw how a stadium operated. So for me, that was vital experience, and just kind of seeing and understanding what the schedule is. I mean, I think, you asked me earlier what my day-to-day is. My day, and the other thing I didn't mention is my day-to-day sometimes is 10, 18 hours. It just depends on what's really happening here on site. So I learned that in that minor league baseball internship, like, hey, it's a homestand, you're in at 7 a.m. and you might not leave till 1 a.m. and then you do it the next day, right? So, everybody worked hard in those environments, no matter what department they're in. So it's kind of just seeing that, learning that. And I think in college for me and seeing it, I knew coming out that sales was probably the quickest way to get into a pro sports environment. That was kind of obvious. I felt like I'm okay at sales. I sold Cutco knives in college, so it wasn't like something I hadn't done before. I knew the sales cycle, I knew the process. So, and I like a challenge. So for me, it wasn't as like, hey, I don't like sales, I don't want to go do this. So I was more open to the idea. If you're not a person that's in the sales, I totally get it. I think that's where you have to look at the other, if it's operations or other departments that you want to go into and say, hey, how can I make a difference? And a lot of that's just hard work and getting in there and showing them that you can be a game changer for their team.
Throughout this program, if you watched this before, normally, we like to showcase the Hall of Fame Museum. At our core here in Canton, the Hall of Fame is we are a museum. But we thought this one was a little different, a little more special. So we thought we want to showcase the campus. We want to showcase all the great things going on around the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So we're going to throw it outside, actually, to Jerry Shockey, the director of Youth and Education, who is outside right down the street from us in front of some pretty cool projects we got going on. Jerry, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right, we couldn't have chose to do this yesterday when it's 20 degrees warmer. So I'm starting to shiver. But thanks for coming to me, Jake. Clint, good to see you, my friend. And I want to welcome you guys to Hall of Fame Way here on the campus here at the Hall of Fame Village. And this space is home to a lot of different things that is going to be growing here in the future. But you go down the street, you got Build-A-Beer, you can kind of see behind us. You see a Shula's, the distance, Visit Canton here. And each one of these buildings are going to be continually adding new businesses and I mean that you can see that'll be coming soon. So all kinds of different exciting things that are taking place here at the village with the Pro Football Hall of Fame and everything. So you don't have to just come here for 3 hours now. You can spend a night, spend 2 days, spend 3 days here in Canton, Ohio, and just stay on our ground because of all the things that are going to be here. But Clint, a lot of times in our programs we get to talk about internships within NFL teams, internships here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But can you share with our students here today, about the opportunities at the village to intern, like maybe some of the unique opportunities and experiences at the village and some of the things that they would do and then how they go about applying? What's the timing of those things?
Yeah, that's great, Jerry. Thanks for being out there on campus. You look awesome, as always. But yeah, to that point, Hall of Fame Village, we've got some great opportunities here. Our internships are open for summer right now. If you get on our website, HOFvillage.com, or if you go on Teamwork Online, we're under there on Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. But ton of great internships. Our staff is growing, I feel like, daily, meeting new people here. We are still in the startup phase as a company, but we're growing exponentially as a property, as a destination, and just with programs. So we've got interns in operations and sales, marketing, public relations, human resources, events, you name it. We have the opportunity, finance. So if you're interested, check it out. I know, like I said, I know we're open for summer. Typically we start the interview process. I think I have actually my first couple internship interviews coming up here in the next week for our summer interns. But a great program. And like I said, every day is different here. You'll go from running a football game one day to a concert to being out and maybe helping mow grass. I don't know. We'll kind of throw you into everything possible. We sort of do it all here. But it's a great opportunity to kind of get in, see how an organization runs, see where you might want to fit in the future. And really, I think the thing I'll tout with our internship program is we've hired a lot of our full-time staff the last couple of years out of our internship program. So we've got a lot of great staff now that came in as unbelievable interns and did an awesome job, proved themselves, that we didn't want to let go, right? We didn't want them to go to another company or somewhere else. So we've been very fortunate to be able to have the backing with our executive team to pull some of that staff in and keep them on site after the internship. So I think it's a great opportunity. Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you, Clint. You bring up a great, spot there as well. Is it not only is it building your resume for other places, but the potential of getting a job at the destination. I mean, Jake and Nathan are both examples of that. They interned here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, our youth and education department, and end up getting hired here eventually as well as a full time. So students, a lot of options, a lot of opportunities. Make sure, again, to remind you to submit those questions, state your school name, your name, and go ahead and put that question in there so we can see where you guys are coming from. So again, thank you, Clint, and appreciate it. Thank you, Jake, and we'll send it back to you, Jake.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. Please go inside, get warmed up. I do apologize it was so cold outside today, but we appreciate you doing that for us and giving us a look at the awesome things going on here in Canton, Ohio, around the Hall of Fame Village campus. Working in sports provides opportunities to be a part of some very cool events.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see obviously the day-to-day, but we always like to joke, at the end of the day, end of your career, you're sitting in the lazy boy at home talking to grandkids, and they ask, what was your favorite thing you were ever a part of? So up till this point, looking back on your career, like an on the field thing, a championship, an unforgettable game, what has been one of your favorite sports moments you've been a part of so far?
That's a good question. I've got a couple of different ones. I mean, I think from different spots I've been in my career. I mean, like with the Jackets, I would always tell people in Columbus, like, I love walking out, seeing 18,136 fans in the arena. That was a sellout number for us, but especially as a salesperson at the time, that was when I could walk out and be like, all right, this is when I've done my job, right? We've sold out, great crowd, great fan support. So that was always cool. As an athletic director, right? You deal with students and athletes, and I think at times there's just things that you'll see a kid walk across for graduation that you've helped or done something, with that you can kind of help them along their journey. So those are always fulfilling. I think really my favorite part being an athletic director on an event base is, I was able to be a part of some special teams and 1 state championships and just not seeing, like when you see the state championship ceremony, for me, I always saw it as like, this is it, like the work that the kids put in to get there, the coaches put in, it's really the moment like where it's about them and what they've done. And so I think that was cool. And I think here, at Hall of Fame Village, we've had a ton of cool sporting events. Obviously the NFL games are great every year. Our concerts have been great. One thing in looking at the questions, I thought really for me was last year at the end of the Journey concert, and some of our studio audience will remember this. It was twofold, right? We walked out to take a team picture after the end of the Journey concert. We were all excited to like take a team picture right in front of the stage while Journey was ending. But then the confetti came down and we're all like, oh, somebody's got to clean that up now. So just kind of one of those like operational things where we were excited. It's kind of the end of a cool week for us. And really the end of like 22-hour days nonstop, back to back to back. So it was a cool culmination for us, I think, as a team to walk out there and get this picture. But then when the confetti cannon went off, we all came down to earth like, oh,
well, it's not done yet.
Yeah, that we're not done. So just, some cool stuff like that. And, I think there's moments in sports like a pro team or whatever it is, you might get a part of being in a championship. I know a ton of people that worked in sports for 20, 30 years that have never won a ring, right? But they've been in part of great teams. And I think what you have to do at a time is just enjoy the moments, right? There's certain things that'll happen in a game. Like I always just enjoy kickoff because I know that means like the game's going, it's in the officials' hands now. Like we've done our job, we've gotten it here, and let's, see the players play and let the coaches do what they do. But that's always for me a time where I kind of take a deep breath, like, all right, we've kicked off, the lights are still on, like everything's still happening. And we're gonna have a great game here. So a lot of cool stuff.
Being involved in sports too, obviously you get to see the value side, how important sport is to those who play it, watch it, coach it, whatever it might be. So you've had the fortunate thing, we've talked to people who work, their only job is working around the game of football in the NFL.
Right.
You've seen it from, hockey and soccer to, literally every high school sport. And now, being surrounded by football again. What is one thing you have pulled away that those sports teach those who play it, watch it, coach it? What are those life lessons that you have seen applied to people's lives outside the game?
Yeah, I think the reality is in all sports, like it's similar, right? If it's football, if it's soccer, if it's wrestling or whatever it is, like they're all learning the same tools, like teamwork comes into it, hard work, respect comes into it for, I always told our athletes, like you have to respect yourself to go work hard and get ready for what you want to do. And then you got to go respect your opponent that they've been working hard too. And then you're going to square off and hopefully go win that matchup. But I think really from a life and values, one that the Hall of Fame touts is courage. And it takes courage to get up every day. And for student athletes, especially, go work hard at school, go get good grades, and then, be able to keep grinding in the evening, go work out, go get an extra 20 minutes in the gym, go above and beyond to be a better athlete. So I think it's courage is one that sticks out to me. I look at the sport of wrestling. I didn't wrestle. But it was one of my favorite sports to watch from just a sheer like courage perspective. It's 1 versus 1. Like at some point in that matchup, somebody a lot of times gives up, unfortunately. But like just watching that happen, and it happens in all sports. So you have to have the courage to get ready, go put the work in to be a great athlete. And then you got to have the courage to go perform on that stage and do a great job. And the courage to be a great teammate. Sometimes it's, you want the glory of yourselves, and the better part is you need to be, as we say in football, 11 is 1, right? And go be a teammate, and you need to make the block for somebody else to score. And at times it takes courage to do that and go make that block and be a good teammate and realize that you're gonna help the team win. And it's a bigger thing than just you individually.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is that's something that obviously, it's unapologetically football. Like you said, 11 is 1 that you can use as a team, but then those values can also translate to the classroom, the office. So now you're not going to lose those values when you stop playing the game. It's always going to be a prevalent part of your life. So looks like we got some more YouTube questions from our live audience. So we're going to throw it back to the Hall of Fame to Nathan Martin for some more questions. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, take it away.
I like that helmet, Nathan.
Yeah, we picked that out for you. Washington Commanders right there. Had to represent on behalf of Clint there. But we got another student question, and they're curious. You've talked a lot about your experience, different roles you've had. Have you ever had a rough moment in your career, a slump? And then how do you kind of work through that and, keep your head up and keep grinding and get to, the next mountaintop moment? And kind of how do students work through those valleys, I guess?
Every day, Nathan. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody, right? That's why I mentioned earlier about empathy. Like I learned as an athletic director, like all my students were going through something, right? Like it didn't matter rural environment, urban environment, poor, rich, whatever it was, like everybody has something daily you're going through. So, for me, it's been more through my career. Yeah, there's moments that things aren't going the way you want, right? And you just have to decide, like, am I going to overcome this? There's times where you're like, well, I could just not do it, but then you're going to let somebody else down. It goes back to the teamwork piece. And, your company at a point becomes your team, right? That you're representing and you need to do well for. So, I think there's probably a ton of moments I can be like, oh, this didn't go the way I wanted to, or that didn't. But in the end, you work hard and get it back where it needs to be. We talked about sales earlier. Yeah, like when I was a sales guy, there's times where you're not hitting your numbers that you want to hit, and you've got to improve. But the only way to improve is to just get back on the horse and keep making phone calls and go out and network. And I would say the same for you guys looking at internships and those things. Like I think I saw something on LinkedIn yesterday. A guy said he had sent out thousands of resumes and applications, and his story now is he's a chief executive of a company, and but what it took him to get there. People see where he's at now, but not what he did to get there. And I think that's your day-to-day work environment, right? Like there's always things every day that don't go the way I want it to, but you just work through it and you figure out how to fix it, make it better, and how to overcome that adversity. Same as an athlete, right? You're going to work through that, and you're not always going to make every block. You're not going to make every shot, but like I tell my kids at home, like just got to keep shooting the ball. So it's the same at work, right? Like if it doesn't go my way, I just got to keep shooting and you figure it out. So
yeah, I think what you're kind of saying too, like it helps the students to know why they're doing what they're doing. Like why are they chasing the dream they're chasing?
correct.
If they have that entry level job, why are they excited about selling tickets for the Blue Jackets or whatever it may be? So like, can you kind of speak to why does Clint Fetty get up in the morning and come to work? What is your why behind what you do each day?
Yeah, I get up because I have 5 kids at home and a wife that's amazing, and they expect to have certain things, so I have to go to work. But no, I think my why, I mean, I can tell you here, like we have a great team in Canton, right? So my why here is like, how do I help our team? How do I help our company? And how do we do, great things here at HOF Village? And then my other why is, like I said, I've got a family at home, and unfortunately I've never hit the lottery, so I don't have unlimited wealth somewhere you have a job and you go do your job and work. But I think in a way it's for me, it's about making a difference. Like I like seeing the kids out on our fields playing. I love watching our fans come into a game at the stadium or a concert. It's kind of seeing that environment outside of you, right? It's like, okay, these people are coming here as a part of something I've done, right? So they're coming here to enjoy our facilities, to come have a great time with their friends. And we're all part of that. So I think you have to look at it that way. I think for your students, right? Like you're going to be looking the next couple of years, what do you do in your career? And right now your why is you, and putting that into yourself and realizing how important you are and that you need to put effort into your career and what you want to do. And then some of you might have, families and things like that you need to support as well. And realizing that there's things that you need to do to help support that family and put the effort into to make the career the best it can be.
Yeah, I love that, once you get to work, it boils down to creating those experiences, for young people, playing and competing, or maybe just, adults coming in and enjoying a concert or a game of, whatever it may be. And you get to help create those memories for those individuals, because I think understanding and knowing that why is how you get through those rough patches, those tough moments. We did have another question come in. This is from Zach, a student at DePaul University, kind of unrelated to what we've talked about to this point, but I think you'll be able to answer it with some of your background experience. Zach's a sophomore at DePaul, interested in coaching the sport of football. So a sophomore in college. What advice or tips would you give someone who wants to go into the coaching field?
Yeah, it's a great field, Zach. I think, advice wise, what I would tell you, and I'm sure, obviously you went to high school somewhere, and it's reaching out to maybe coaches that you played for or worked with, and go in and get an experience. So can you go and help with local program? Can you go be a part of a local camp? Can you work with? I didn't hear if it was DePaul or DePaul.
DePaul with
Okay,
an
in
L
Chicago.
at the end. Yep.
Got it. So can you go be a part of a program in your area there in the Chicago area, and just kind of get that experience and build, in theory, build a coaching resume, right? Maybe you've got a playing background, but what can you do on the coaching side? So I would say looking at those experiences, build some relationships with coaches in your area that you can maybe while you're at school, go and help a local program out. And then I'd also say it's putting in a little bit work on the learning side, right? It's getting online, learning techniques. It's kind of like you see with the NFL, right? Like an offensive coach maybe has never coached defense, and they need to go learn defense, right? So maybe, I don't know, positions you played or what your background in football is, but kind of learning what your weakness might be in football. So maybe you're really knowledgeable as a quarterback, but you don't know what the running back needs to do. It's learning those positions so you can add worth to a coach when you go to volunteer.
And then the last question we got here, what's something, Clint, that now that you wish, if you put yourself in the shoes of these college students, so, they're 21, 22-year-old students, what's something that now that when you were 21, you were 22, that you wish you had known then that you can maybe impart on these students?
That's a good question, Nathan. I think, probably the thing for me now is just knowing that, like, and I tell students this all the time, but like, you have to be willing to adjust, and things aren't always going to go your way. We talked about that, but like, you have to not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and do something different, right? Like Jake mentioned that he didn't like sales. I would be like, Jake, go figure out sales, right? Like, I get you don't like it, but you'll learn it anyways, right? So I think it's just, I think I felt like I knew that in college, but going through and getting different experiences and like having to go learn stuff that maybe I wasn't, like, I hate math. I'm just not a math person, but like there are things in my job inherently that require math and other positions I've had. So it's just really being not afraid to step out of your comfort zone. And I think in sports, the one thing I will tell any student is, be willing to step out and maybe move somewhere, maybe go do something for a summer outside of your area, away from your school, right? Learn a different environment. I've seen it in athletics as, this school operates differently than this school. So it's just kind of being unafraid to go try something new, maybe dip your toe in the water somewhere that's unfamiliar to you, and just learn and maybe embrace adversity in that time. So I think, as a college student, I would say just go out, look for opportunities and embrace it. It might not seem like the perfect fit, but in the end, maybe you learn a whole lot from it.
That's great advice. I appreciate that. I think the students appreciate that. So on behalf of myself and all the students that have been watching, Clint, I want to thank you for being a part of the program today. I know Jake's going to have some stuff as we kind of wrap up, but just thanks again, man, for being a part of this with us.
Thanks, Nathan. Good seeing you earlier.
We look at, mentioned earlier, you got this big soccer tournament coming in this weekend. So you've seen events not only as here, but athletic director working in the youth space as well. But then on the flip side, you've seen a Hall of Fame game, concert, enshrinement happen all over 1 week. So what's it feel like to see 50, 60, 70,000 people over this span of really 3 days come into a stadium that you're helping run? What's that feeling like? What's it like to wake up and knowing, all right, we're going to have 23,000 people coming into the stadium today?
Yeah.
What's that feeling like?
I think in the moment you don't realize it. Like, like we'll look out, there's 20,000 people and it's busy and it's packed, but like, I will say in the end, like even a high school basketball game, or football game requires a lot of the same planning that we go into. It's just on a much larger scale with more people that are involved. So from a crowd standpoint, while you're in it, you sort of don't get it. So I said, at times it's sort of taking a step back and looking out and embracing what's actually happening in front of you, because you get so busy with what's there. Like our good friend, rest in peace, Greg Dale, had that saying, be where your feet are. And I think when you're in the moment prepping for a game or prepping for a concert, like you're where your feet are, you're trying to figure out like what needs to happen right now to make this thing happen and get the fans in safely and get the artists where they need to be, or get the teams to their locker rooms, whatever it is. So you're so caught up in that moment But when you walk out, there is sort of that realization of like, wow, all these people are here for this. And like I said, that's where I think you need to take a step back at times and sort of a deep breath and say like, wow, there are 70,000 people here this week. It's a ton of stuff happening. I think here, I always tell people like, I'm so insulated within our stadium during the enshrinement week specifically that like, there's a big festival that happens around Canton and I have no idea. Like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I see Jake running around and, doing different stuff outside of here at times, but like, we're so insulated trying to get ready for the halftime show, for the flyover, for whatever it is, that we sometimes need to take a step back, like, oh, there's this whole tailgate things that happen, these things happen, and then they all come in. So I think the importance of it and looking at it is just occasionally taking a step back and realizing that there are all these people here. And then, our mindset, it's, we want to have a great time, be entertained, and then we want them to get out safely, right? So it's just all those things that go into it.
I think it's funny you mentioned that because, it is a feeling you're so inundated with one task or one job. It's like at the end of the day, I'll sit down when I get home after an enshrinement week and open Twitter up and go, well, what happened in the world today? Because I have no idea what else went on because of all the work that goes into that. You mentioned when you were answering the question about coaching, to study up and always be on top of your game. So for you, how do you do that with technology today? Is it seminars? Is it books? What are things you're doing to make sure you're the most prepared you can be when it comes to running events, ops, and the things you handle on day to day?
Yeah, I think for me, like LinkedIn's been a good tool to just kind of get nuggets at times. If you don't have time to go dig into a book or something, I'll try to, I'm not, I hate to admit I'm not a huge reader, but I do have Audible. So I'll listen to a lot of books. I have 5 kids that are all doing sports. So a lot of weekends, if I'm not here working, I'm driving them for an hour to a basketball tournament or something. So if we're not talking, I might maybe flip on a leadership book or something like that to listen to it. And then I think it's, for me, what's been valuable is going to conferences, meeting with peers in the industry, learning about industry trends, what's happening. So I would say, anytime you can take advantage of a conference. I know the National Sports Forum was this past week in Los Angeles, but as a student, especially, anytime you can maybe find a conference, or a lot of times your programs are looking at conferences to take students to and learn. It's sort of going in there and I try to, if I go to a conference, pick out a couple sessions that maybe I had no idea something existed, or just something new, like I said, in coaching, maybe something I know that I need to learn more about. So I'll try to target that specific item and really go learn about it for a little while.
I think that's cool because, we're always learning. You think when you get a job, done with that, don't have to do any more learning, but you're constantly adapting to all the changes that are happening. So how important is it to realize that you can ask for help, go to those conferences and, there's that humility that, because everybody's going to say, I do my job pretty well. I want to think that I do my job pretty well. I'm sure you can say the same thing. But how important is it to remain humble and know that it's okay to go asking out for help? If you have a brand new sport coming in, if Quidditch just coming in to run a tournament, they're like, I got no idea how to do this. How important is it to reach out and ask for that help? Because not only is it going to make your life better, it's going to make the overall event better.
Yeah, you have to. I think that's part of the humility, right? Of being able to step back and be like, I don't know this, somebody does. I think what's unique in sports entertainment is it's a big fraternity sorority almost. Like everybody has experiences and they're all willing to share and help. We always say like, can I recycle your information, right? So Jake might have some great program he's done that I'm sitting here like, wow, that's awesome. How'd you do it? How'd it work? What'd you learn from it? So I think you have to be willing to step out, go learn, go ask questions, and don't be afraid to say you don't know it, right? Like go out there and say, I don't understand this. I don't know it. Or just, we need to learn more about it. Jake mentioned Quidditch. Like Jake doesn't know this, but it's now called quad ball in a lot of environments.
No idea.
Because Disney or whoever was suing people for the name. So like things like that, it's just going out, learning, talking to people and seeing what's there. And like I said, being open to like, what can I learn, right? And who can I call? We mentioned the field earlier and a lot of that was learning and calling people. And we called a bunch of other stadiums, a bunch of different groups to find out what they do, how they care for their stuff, and just getting information and not being afraid to go and ask for it.
I think too, on the flip side of that, if somebody comes to you and asks those questions, not to take the mindset of, oh, they're just trying to copy what we're doing.
Yeah.
But no, they're actually trying to the goal is, it's the, what is it? The rising tides, rise all, or all
those
ships.
rise,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's important because, you have to be looked at as like, hey, they're not trying to copy what we're doing. They're really looking out to try and make their event. And the fact that they're looking to you for that you got to still keep that idea.
Yeah. I think it's, you have to be willing to go ask questions, and you have to be willing to impart your knowledge on other people and let them know, here's what we've learned, and be honest with them. Hey, this didn't go well because of this, and this, but then we did this, and like, it's letting them know, here's the pros and cons of, and then here's what we learned in our situation. Here's what we would do better now. So just, it's that information share back and forth is vital. And that's why I said in sports and entertainment specifically, 99% of people are willing to help, and it's also helping them back.
All right, we got a few minutes left here. As always, we want to get to our rapid fire questions, kind of the fun part that we added in this year. And then after that, we will do one final rapid question. Sound okay?
Yeah.
All right, first question. LinkedIn, great way to network or just another social media app?
I think it's a great way to network. I tell people now, like I'm actually using it more and more just on the messaging piece, because I get so many random spam emails that oftentimes it's almost easier for me to answer back on LinkedIn and share. So I'd say it's a good networking tool.
I think that was the okay for all of our students who tuned in today to reach out. We got your information posted in there. So don't. Number 2, GPA on a resume, include it or keep it off?
We debated this in the office here. We said it really doesn't matter in a way. So I think you can keep it off. If, I would tell you as a student, if you're a 4.0 and you've got some amazing background, put it on there for sure. But I've never once asked a question in an interview, what's your GPA or how did you do in your chem class your sophomore year? Like, it just doesn't come up. I was a good student, but I wasn't a 4.0 student by any means. So I never included it, and I never got asked the question either. So.
All right, number 3, social media accounts, public or private?
We've laughed about this because I don't really have any besides LinkedIn. I would say, as a former athletic director and educator, I would keep it private, especially if you've got some questionable things out there. We won't talk about what those are, but as an AD, I dealt with more bad issues on social media, so I would try to keep it private when you can. But if you're a social marketing content person, you might want it public so people see what you can do.
Number 4, jeans at work, all day, every day, never or only on casual Fridays?
We don't have casual Fridays, so the 2 people in our audience, they have jeans on, so I guess it's okay.
All right. Number 5, coin toss, heads or tails?
Heads.
All right, that's the right answer. Number 6, you score a touchdown.
Yep.
Your go-to touchdown celebration.
I hand the ball to the official and walk back to the bench.
Nice, very good. And number 7, and we like to add the extra one in, pertaining on who we're talking to. Dream concert for the Hall of Fame Village to host.
I mean, I can't because I'm a big Tupac fan, so he's probably not coming back unless we could host his resurrection concert. It's probably not going to happen. So I don't know. It's a good one. I tried to think about that. Just anything that gets people excited and is a great time for our spectators to come out.
I'm going to add one more. Favorite moment from a Hall of Fame game enshrinement concert you've seen since you've been here?
That's a really good question. For me, it's just we kick off the game. I'm like, good, we're ready to go. Things are all systems go and everybody's happy. And so for me, that's the best moment. I think favorite moment every year is probably, I mentioned it earlier, is seeing the fans come out, seeing the excitement. And then, as a dad now, I will say it's watching little kids come out, have a good time, see their heroes, and just kind of be caught up in that moment of like, wow, that's Trevor Lawrence or whoever that person is that they're there to see. So I think for me, it's that moment now with families and kids coming out and just having a good time and maybe having a special moment.
All right, last question here, and this is a question we wrap up every program with. Obviously, a lot of great advice out there to any field in sport. But if the students watching this now, 6 months from now, they're watching this, they stumble on YouTube to find it. What is that one piece of advice you want them to leave with? If they could only remember one thing, what's that one piece of advice?
It's going out and working hard, right? It's getting out, and I said not being afraid to try something new, but really going and whatever you do, if it's work, if it's life, if it's family, just work hard. Know that you put everything into it. Know that you can walk away from it knowing that you put all your effort into it, and that you don't have any regrets.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series today, featuring Clint Fetty, the Vice President and General Manager of Hall of Fame Village Sports. Again, Clint, thanks so much for being part of the
Thanks,
program today. We know really how busy your schedule is, so we definitely appreciate you taking your time to be with us today.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, audience.
As always, before we leave today, make sure you're tuned in to everything on the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as well as Hall of Fame Village social media channels to see all the great things we have going on. So follow, like, subscribe, whatever it might be. Please do that on all of our social media channels. If you're a podcast listener, some awesome podcasts out on both of our sites here. Obviously, we got Football Heaven from Hall of Fame Village Media, and then we have the Mission podcast hosted by our great friend Jameer Howerton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. A lot of great information and great content in there as well. So as always, as we say again, Clint, thank you so much. We, have a saying, to our Hall of Famers that, the game wouldn't be the same without their impact. And we always like to thank them for everything they've done, but the same thing goes for you. Thank you for everything you've done for us at the Hall of Fame, and will continue to do.
You too, Jake. Thank you, guys.
All right, last announcement. We're going to be off here next couple of weeks. We understand college is going on spring break. So we're going to do the same. We're going to take the next couple of weeks off here, but we will be back on March 24th with a member of the Los Angeles Chargers social and digital media team, Alex Farkas, who is doing some awesome stuff out in LA on their social and content team. A lot of the great videos you see them tweet out are made by him. So we're going to get a little insight to everything he does on a day-to-day basis and all the great things that he does with the Chargers. So from myself, from Nathan, from Clint, Jerry, everybody back at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much for tuning in today.